again, streamline JSON data, streaming JSON data, JSON. 이런. 자, pipeline 시리즈 파트 6. Having explorer on poke in the past, Elasticsearch Kibana in the previous pipeline blog series. In this blog, we backtrack to 자, pipeline 시리즈 파트 6. Having to junction to explore alternative paths, Postgres, Apache superset. But in this blog, we backtrack to but we will lost our map. JSON schema. let's hope we don't get lost or attacked by mutant radioactive monster. But we will lose our map. Jason. Just to recap how we got here. Here is a Kafka source connector, Kafka sync connector, Elasticsearch, Kibana technology pipeline. Okay. PSQL. Just to recap, classic towers or Harios in Postgres SQL. Space-based thread-free game implemented entirely within a Postgres database. GTS2, a whole game in Postgres SQL. PR Python, where you can drive around the Python renderer OSM data with a collision detection that all the functions stop. Turning machine implemented the Postgres. This is an example. PR Python, where you can drive around the Python renderer Kafka Connect cluster, original pipeline flow. The next step was to recreate the Kafka and Kafka Connect setup that I had for original pipeline flow, as these are the common components that are also needed for the new experiment. So first I created a Kafka cluster. There's nothing special about the cluster configuration, although we should ensure that all the clusters are created in the same AWS region to reduce latency and cost or cluster promised. So then also AWS available. Then I created a Kafka Connect cluster, targeting a Kafka cluster. There are a couple of extra configurations that required, one before provisioning and one after. If you are planning on bring out your own connector, connector, then you have to tweak the use custom connector checkbox, add details for the 3S bucket where your connector have been uploaded to. You can find the bucket and detailed in your AWS console. You need the AWS access key, ID AWS secret access key, and the S3 bucket name. Here are the instructions of using AWS Kafka connector. Kafka connectors. Australia, Shinkar, Montgomery, read the setting map, please, and then abandon the uranium mine. Connected previous, I used the open source Kafka connected Elasticsearch Sync connector to move the sales data from the Kafka topic to an Elasticsearch cluster, but this time around I want to replace this with the open source Kafka connected sync connector that will write data into a PostgreSQL server. However, such connectors appear to be rare as toilet paper on shop shelves in some part of the world in 2020, possibly because most Turing machine needed more memory. However, I did finally track one example down. Kafka Sync Connect for streaming JSON message into Terror. Updated 2 years old and is unsupported MIT. Open source Kafka connected JDB Sync connector. Why is there a shortest PostgreSQL Sync connector? Why is there shortest? Why is there shortest? The reason is essential. That is just an example of a class of SQL database. SQL database typically have support for Java database connector. Have support Java database connectivity drivers. Searching for open source JDBC sync connector results in more options. So searching in gloom down my tunnel, I found the following open source JDBC sync connector, which is some initial high level observation. Kafka Connect, Sync Connect for JDBC. Apache Camel JDBC. Kafka Sync Connector. How should we go about selecting connector to trial? I had two criteria in mind. Packed was easy to build. Easy to build, generate an jar file, so I could upload it to the AWS bracket to
get into the install class to manage the Kafka Connect class I was using. The second part will like how to connect map data from the Kafka topic to the process data by table and column data mapping. Luckily, I had a close look at JSON site for my previous blog where I discovered that you can store JSON object in Postgres schema. Taking another look at my tethered sensor data again. Just here the example like God. Ready to pair data no schema. Split schema is in such in each Kafka record waste space and require the producer to write a record with the correct schema as well as the actual data. Split schema in the connected configuration. This is a logical possibility, but would potentially limit the connect to working with only one topic at a time. Would need multiple configuration and therefore connected to topic example schema. But why? When is the schema needed? Looking at the second with some of the connectors, it appears that the schema this is assuming that you want to transform, extract the JSON pair to multiple columns. And is the data mapping separated from the schema? Does it use the schema? Let's look closer at typical example. IBM connector, which are based on the confluent approach, which requires explicit schema in each Kafka record. Liquid Kafka record value to be stored with the primitive pair. Assuming we could flatten and remove some of the unwanted pair, then JSON data would like this. Pair, name, type, schema. Payload would like this. Schema. We will essentially throw all our own schema map. Let's see if it helps us to find a way out of the mine. I constructed some example record with this format and put them into a test Kafka topic with the Kafka console producer. The connect configuration requires Postgres connection URL, user password, topic to read from, table name and to write to. Schema is used to auto-create the table with the required column and type of is doesn't exist. Then the payload value are just inserted into the named columns. JSync connector. Here's the example first configuration from IBM connector documentation. Connector class
table with the required column and type of
topic,
does needed.
connection
The
URL,
payload value are just inserted into the named
first
column.
class, user, password.
Connected. Here's the example first configuration from IBM Connector documentation. Connected
Is the IP address, port number, and the database name. Postgres
topic. Connection URL.
for the URL.
First class. User. Password.
For the URL. Was easy, and it was able to upload the resulting
Database name.
Uber jar to
Postgres
my AWS bucket and sync
for the URL.
managed the Copper Connect class to see it was available in the class. Just remember
For the
to
URL.
refresh the browser to get to update your list of
It
connect.
was easy.
URL
And
command
it was able to
used to
upload the
configure
resulting Uber
and learn this
to my
connector only
AWS bucket and
is
sync.
track close to manage Copper Connect cluster.
Managed the Copper Connect class to see it was available in the class. Just
Connector
remember to
refresh the browser to get to update your list of connect. Copper list API that Postgres database used to configure application data. And learn this connector K class caching caching use caching password single connect sync connect and band diagram. You can easily check that connect is learning into intra cluster console on the active connector, and you should ensure that connector log and shifted to the error topic in case something goes wrong. It probably will, as it often takes several attempts to configure Kafka connected correctly. The IBM connector was easy to build, configure, and started learning. However, it had a few issues. It had a few issues as a result of first error. I had a look at the code and discovered that schema issue also required for the table name. So, correct value format above is public tied table. For my example, unfortunately, the next letter was possible to resolve. How about Kafka connected list? Cannot list cannot list the field on non-structured time, and we con- concluded it was a problem with Kafka records nature. I also tried sync but it was very similar configuration to the IBM one, but given the lack of detail on how to build it, lack of but given details dependency on Oracle Java, the use of collateral, which I'm not familiar with, and find this error exception no suitable driver bow found for JDBC first SQL, possibly indicating that the first SQL driver needs to be included in the build and or Uber jar generated to include the driver. I didn't have any success with neither. There's two now two 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 to go. Have an explicit schema Kafka code. The event connector really were not suitable for my use case anyway. So no great loose sopa and then throw at the header success with an Apache camera connector in press flow. This time around the documentation for the camera JDB sync connector did not have any configuration example, so it was not obvious how it would work and if it needed schema or not. This left first connector as the only option remaining. So let's throw away our handle down mem and try schemaless. The idea behind it connector is that element from JSON Kafka record message are passed out into column value specified by a list of column and a list of first path in connector configuration. Here is an example configuration for my JSON data to extract the name TMV values from JSON record and insert them into name, time, value column. Just one Kafka sync page. Here is an example configuration for my JSON data to extract the name TMV values from JSON parse then into name, time. This connector was also hard to feel. It was missing some jar, which I found earlier release, but missing some jar, which I found documentation doesn't say anything about how table is created. So given the lack of schema and type information, I assumed the table had to be manually created. People use. Unfortunately, I was not even able to start this connector running in in cluster Kafka Connect cluster as it resulted in this error when trying to configure now a success with the customized diagram connect. So our last candle burning low and So it was time to rethink my requirement based on my previous experience with JSON. All I really needed a connector to do was insert entire JSON Kafka record value, single JSON B column to type in specified table. Table would also need a single automatically incremented ID pair and GIN index on the JSON-B table. I turned out to straightforward to modify behavior of the connector to do this. The table and GIN index, which unique name including table, is created automatically if it doesn't already exist and the column names are currently hard coded to be ID. I didn't have to modify code for creating table for it to work with the first correctly and customize the insert SQL based on my previous experience, which sync connectors failing due to badly formed JSON. JSON with different schema to expect. I was pleasantly surprised to find that this connector was very robust. This is due to the fact data PostgreSQL refused to insert badly informed JSON into JSON-B columns type and throw an except and IBM connector doesn't pair the tiers. This is due to fact data PostgreSQL 힘들어. IBM connector doesn't pair